Alright, it is failed project time. I tried to build a build around this passive that I got on the Crucible passive skill tree. Trigger a socketed spell every second while channeling Blade Flurry or Charge Dash. And since this is a maze, I can't use Blade Flurry, so I use Charge Dash. So I attempted to build a Charge Dash trigger build where everything is kind of triggered. So in here we have an arc. It's going to be triggered on hits, and here we have an arc that's going to be triggered on cast when stunned. Then we have a firestorm triggered on cast when stunned, and then we have a cast on critical strike chance with prismatic burst and ice spear. Now, it'd probably be better if I got rid of this cast on critical strike and just did prismatic burst and charge dash and then tap it, because I'll show you how the playstyle works. I am also using the stun shenanigans with blood notch and immutable force. I'm only level 68 because this build is a failure and it doesn't quite work like I wanted it to. And you see I have grasping vines on, I have arctic armor. The idea for me was to use this charge dash to charge around, and then when I got hit, it would teleport me to the different location. One, that instantly removes grasping vines. I didn't really realize I would instantly remove grasping vines, but it does. Another thing is the attack speed on charge dash is too slow with this mace and the way I've built it. So the cast on crit doesn't work very well because of the attack speed. So cast while channeling is actually probably better. But even if I use that, the current setup that I'm using is not going to work. This was mostly just to test it out. Some of my gear is pretty damn good. This belt here is pretty spectacular. It has more of that cooldown reduction. These boots are pretty great. They have some cooldown reduction. I mostly got these boots because I needed the strength. Once I stop using this hammer, I will no longer need to pump up the strength, so I can probably get a better pair of boots there. The gloves are just alright. There's nothing too special about them. It's got a lot of life and a bunch of res. The rings are great. 16 to all res, 15 life recoup. Strength, that's also part of me wanting that ring. Just another socketed ring to reduce some of the socket pressure that's going on. I'm using Unyielding Flame to trigger Commandment of Inferno on critical strike. So that drops a bunch of fireballs, and this triggers pretty well. Actually, let me get a Cyclone, because Cyclone works better than Charge Dash. I mostly tried to use Charge Dash because it was part of the Atlas, the Crucible passive tree. But let me grab a Cyclone, because that actually kind of works, but it's still not very good. So let's run this pier. The pier's got heavy crit on it. This map that I grabbed, it's got some crit, so I'm going to die. The negative elemental resistances is great because I'm using a Laura Weave. But the idea was to kind of hold still, let people hit me, and when they hit me, I trigger these spells, and it rains down a bunch of chaos on their head. And then I was going to be charging this charge dash, so when they hit me, it releases the charge dash, so I can kind of just hold down the right click, charge dash around, and once I get hit, I'll teleport. That was kind of the idea of the build, but it just doesn't work very well. So it's supposed to just pop off like this. Hold down charge dash, get hit. As soon as I get hit, it'll teleport me to the new location. Preferably, it would kill everybody that hit me, because I'd get stunned. There's a few things that prevent it from working as I was planning. One, the trigger on the cast when stun is not quite as effective as I thought it would be. I thought it'd be a little closer to pretty much every hit that I took, I'd get stunned. But holding down charge dash, which is what I kind of wanted to do to trigger that spell because of the Crucible passive, doesn't work very well. But what does work on this type of style is just to tap charge dash. Instead of holding down charge dash, if you just tap it, it triggers the prismatic burst. You see those big circles that are hitting it? As I tap it, it's triggering that prismatic burst. And that does pretty good damage. If I focus all of my damage around that prismatic burst, it'll be pretty excellent. But I don't focus all my damage around that prismatic burst. I didn't show my helmet, but I got a pretty cool helmet that would probably work quite well in prismatic burst. Let's let this guy punch me and show like what the cast on stun is like. So you see the double fireball is from the shield. And the big meteor is from the other one. So I'm going to transform this. I'm going to try to transform this into a more memeable build that's just purely cast on stun. And I think my only attack spell is going to be Frostblink, or I might put on a claw and do I forget the name of it. The movement skill that's extremely fast. And I'll just dash around with that and then let everybody hit me. Obviously, when you're doing a cast on stun, you can't do this league mechanic at all. So there's a lot of memes I tried out. I tried to put arc on everything, and I wanted it to look cool, but you just can't really tell that you have like 10 different sources of arc popping off. And since they trigger from your trigger bots, you can't even really see the arc popping off. So the arc is popping off, but you just don't know it. So ultimately, this was a pretty failed project. I'm only showing it because, you know, it's kind of interesting. And I don't know if anyone's ever going to use this charge dash skill. I should have put... I'm going to put Shock Nova. Do I have Shock Nova? No, I no longer have Shock Nova. I'm going to put Shock Nova on the mace, just so you can see it pop off more than Arc. I like Arc because Arc does a lot of work to clear enemies that are not close to you. So I got a bunch of level 21 arcs that I was using to pop off with. So let's do Shock Nova, just so you can see it happening. You can see the mace getting triggered. So it's not triggering any Shock Nova there. Trigger a socketed spell every second while channeling Blade Flurry or Charge Dash. But it's not triggering it as I channel it. Maybe I need to put Shock Nova here. Cast without moving. See, they're not triggering it. And I don't really know why it's not triggering. I think it's broken. Something is not working correctly with that. So I have Shock Nova in here. And those Shock Novas should be triggering a lot as I channel. But it's just not doing it. So I think it's broken. Let me read it again. Trigger a socketed spell every second while channeling Blade Flurry or Charge Dash. So it should be triggering those spells whether I'm hitting anything or not, and it's just not doing it. Let's try to throw this arc in there. Though you wouldn't see arc because arc doesn't have a target. But let's see if I can find a target. Let's see if we can get this to trigger. It would have been pretty cool if it actually worked properly, because I have so much CDR. See, it's not triggering any arcs. I'm channeling it, and it's not triggering any arcs. And let's put Shock Nova back on. I'm channeling it, and I killed the guy, but I don't think it triggered a Shock Nova. It's really not triggering anything. It's kind of broken. Doesn't work well. And the whole project is a pretty large failure. Pretty large failure indeed. Here, let's see this. Let's get away. I'm channeling it. I don't see any Shock Novas going off. I mean, I'm pretty far away, but... but the shock novas should be popping off like crazy, and they're just not really popping off. See this playstyle? This is kind of how it was supposed to work. You like jitter around as you're getting hit, and it kind of does work, but because that's bugged, I can't really make a really good build out of it. See, anytime they like hit me, I kind of dash around, so it's a very trippy playstyle, but it just doesn't work because that's not triggering a spell. So it's definitely bugged and doesn't work properly because it's not triggering the shock novas as it should. Another cool thing about this is I have 2 Vol skills that both hit pretty hard. I got this Vol Fire Burst in this version that I can trigger, and it just wrecks. Obviously, I need better defenses to run this kind of a cast while stunned meme build. But I'm going to transform it into something else and try to get an effective meme build going. But I need some more gear, so I'm probably going to farm out that gear this weekend. And that... Oh yeah, I was going to show Cyclone. So Cyclone works a little better, because obviously Cyclone works a little better, because the charge dash mechanic's not actually working. If the charge dash mechanic worked, I figure it might be a little better than Cyclone, but you can see the prismatic burst hitting a little more frequently. And with Cyclone, I can hold still better while I'm getting stunned, which gives me the grasping vines and triggers my Arctic armor. And obviously I'm using this right here to do 1% less damage taken per grasping vine and a 2% chance to deal double damage per grasping vine. That in conjunction with 30% more spell damage and 25% more spell damage. What the idea was to be able to just hold still, get stunned, cast spells, and do a lot of damage. And that might work in the final iteration that I might be planning. But I kind of just wanted to just hang out like this and get hit. Another problem, if you look at my mana at the very bottom, I just cannot keep up with the mana cost. It rains down heavy, but I even with Eldritch Battery, first time using Eldritch Battery, so I don't really know how to pump up Eldritch Battery. I think I'd have to go into some of these nodes here to get this energy shield recharge rate, and I probably need a lot more energy shield than I currently have. But I went into some mana. I might do some recoup. 10% of damage taken is recouped as mana, and that might help me out. Actually, let's just put that in right now. Let's cancel. I need the dex there. I don't really know what I can refund. I think I need the strength. I need the strength there. Let us just refund this 50 life per second. And let's see if this recoup, mana recoup, will help out. Dead. Holding still, really difficult on this build. I don't have any spell suppression, and my all res is only 78. And since they broke the elemental damage in this game, 78 all res just doesn't work anymore without spell suppression. So in order to prevent dying from elemental damage, you gotta either be spell suppressed, or you gotta be in the 80 plus range for maximum resistances. I don't like this state of elemental damage from enemies currently. I don't think it's very good. Okay. I think I need to do another map just to demo it. One with Essence. The Essence mobs seem to be the best at triggering the specific thing. So let's grab another. I got maps right here. Just grab another map. Sure, we'll do... Actually, we'll just crush this one and pop it in again. Monster Steel, Frenzy. I don't want Monster Steel in my charges. That's rude. There you go. That's perfect. Now, a big part of the damage is I haven't really messed with anything in terms of pin. I'm mostly using the revert and reverse elemental resistances. I get a little bit from this bad boy when you hit with 3 different elements. You do that, and that combos pretty well with Sadist. Let's see if that recoup helps with the mana cost. And you can see the build is just not tanky enough to do this idea. Mostly because a big part of my tankiness was planning to hold still a bunch. Kind of hold still like this, but that recoup. Taking bleed, taking ignites. Just don't have the gear. So maybe there's an idea here that will work. But for the most part, I don't think it will work. Let's exit out of that. And let's go find that essence. The essence will be able to allow me to test it significantly better than everything else. Now there is obviously a build here that works with just like your more standard cast on critical strike build. I'm not sure the Saboteur is best for that. The cooldown reduction is great. I don't know if it'll actually show the cooldown reduction on cast on crit. It should be my ice. Actually, it should show it on the Cyclone. Miscellaneous. Cooldown, recovery speed modifier, 61%. So cast on crit has a cooldown of 0.15 seconds. So that cooldown is going to be reduced by 61%, which is going to put it at like 7 seconds. 0.07 seconds. So it's doubling the triggers on the cast on crit. But that doubling of triggers doesn't really mean anything if I can't hold up to the mana cost. I tried taking the... I can't use life tap because that uses way too much life and it just drains out my life. That recoup seems to be working pretty well. My mana isn't going down, but damage over time wrecks me. Yeah. It's just, the build just doesn't work. And I'm not going to continue messing with it. I'm over it. I'm going to try a different Mimi thing. That is all. I guess I'll finish out the map and talk some nonsense. With my Mimi thing, I'm going to be getting rid of this amulet. This amulet is pretty strong with the double spell increase and the fact that it has so much strength and attributes. It kind of just pumps everything up. But when I do a little more Mimi, I think I'm going to go Badge of the Brotherhood and then get some Frenzy charges and then maybe some Poet's Pen. But I do like the idea of holding still and being able to hold the fort and just wreck. Let's try some Sacred Grove. That should be a good place to get hit. So when I go for the Mimi thing, I'm either going to do a Poet's Pin and be able to cast from a distance, or I'm going to do a pure cast when damage taken. But as you can see, when I hold still, they throw so much damage over time on the ground. And so much just nonsense that just hits you if you hold still. Holding still in this game just never feels good. I wish you can get it to feel good, but it almost never feels good. My mana's holding up pretty good. I think that's because I wasn't getting hit. I forgot to look at my mana, so I'm going to look at my mana here. Let's do some holding still. Oh yeah, mana's done. So because of the mana... It's just donezo. I have to get some mana reduction rings, which I currently don't have because I bought these ones to relieve the socket pressure. So once I get some mana reduction rings, maybe that'll help out. But the mana cost is a huge problem, which I'm sure that every cast on crit build knows all about the mana cost being a problem. That is all. I will end it here. Build failure. I just wanted to post it. I didn't want to waste all of my time. But I did want to show this cool helmet. Socketed Gems deal 30% more damage while on low life. Socketed Gems deal 30% more elemental damage while on low life. And currently I don't even have a spell on it. Which, let's do one more now that I put a spell on. We'll get some gold here. I ain't even going to move. I'm just going to hang out. Can't fucking hang out because the damage over time on the ground is so rude and obnoxious. So that's like, I think poison's hitting me. Because in order for me to get my life back, I have to get hit. I have to get a stunning hit. And if they're not going to stun and they're just going to do damage over time, it's kind of nasty. Kind of nasty. Let's see if we can get one of these guys to actually not do all of the damage over time and just actually punch me like a man. See, it's pretty cool. The cast while stunned, it's pretty badass. But damage over time is rough, and poison is pretty rough. And I can't keep up the mana. This is a failed meme. I don't know if other people post their failed projects, but I figured it's a good idea to post failed projects because it's just entertaining to watch me fail and be an idiot. So this was me failing and being an idiot. And we'll check you guys later.